North Korea. From what we've all heard, sounds like a dangerous place to be. And Kim Jong un seems like a nightmare to bear. There have been a lot of news about the state's collapse. However, the state still seems to be thriving. Or is it? Let's uncover what goes on behind North Korea's facade of control, power, and riches. North Korea has continued to navigate the turbulent waters of geopolitics and economics in the face of hostile economic conditions and international sanctions. Some scholars, like Kim Yon Choi, have argued that there is almost no possibility that the North Korean economy will collapse. Despite the obstacle, North Korea has developed internal conditions for survival, enabling it to withstand the challenges it has faced since the early 2010s. Now, it's not 100% sure as to whether or not North Korea is facing challenges pertaining to political collapse. One crucial aspect of North Korea's survival strategy has been its shift from a military first approach to an economy first one. In 2018, North Korea's national strategy underwent a significant transformation, emphasizing economic reforms and openness. The shift represented a necessity to bolster the country's survival capacity and resilience. The economic changes in North Korea have been extensive and cover a wide range of areas. North Korea has actively pursued important substitutions in domestic production as key components of its economic strategy. By reducing its reliance on foreign imports and promoting the growth of domestic industries, the country has sought to insulate itself from external economic pressures. Adopting competitive systems and expanding markets have been essential in North Korea's economic transformation. These steps have helped create an environment where businesses are encouraged to thrive through competition, fostering innovation and efficiency. The expansion of markets has led to a greater opportunity for economic growth and diversification. The reformation of financial institutions and the establishment of commercial banks have been instrumental in improving North Korea's economic viability. A functional financial sector is vital for managing investments, facilitating trade, and supporting economic growth. The presence of commercial banks can promote access to capital and help mobilize resources for businesses. North Korea has also recognized the importance of science and technology in the economic development. By promoting innovation and technological advancements, the country seeks to enhance its productivity and competitiveness in the global economy. These efforts are indicative of its commitment to ensure long-term economic sustainability. Despite these progressive economic reforms, North Korea's path to prosperity has been significantly hindered by the persistent sanctions imposed by the result of its nuclear programs. These sanctions have limited its access to international markets and resources, affecting its efforts to fully implement its economic strategy. One notable aspect of North Korea's economic model is the adoption of the socialist corporate responsible management system. Under this system, firms are granted substantial management rights to operate their businesses autonomously. This approach has led to increased production and efficiency in various industries, contributing to the country's economic resilience. Additionally, North Korea has implemented the field responsibility system, allowing individual farmers to be rewarded for their crop yields. This system has incentivized agricultural production and ensured a stable food supply, mitigating the risk of food shortages, a critical factor in North Korea's ability to maintain social stability. Remarkably, despite the challenging economic conditions and sanctions, North Korea has achieved relative stability in exchange rates and market prices for essential goods such as rice and gasoline. This stability demonstrates the regime's ability to manage economic pressures, although it remains largely isolated from the global financial system. Crucially, North Korea has outlined its conditions for denuclearization. By pursuing the path, it could reintegrate into international markets, potentially unlocking economic opportunities and growth. North Korea's complex geopolitical relationship further complicates the outlook for the nation. While it has traditionally relied on China and Russia as its allies, recent developments suggest a shifting landscape. China's importance to North Korea cannot be understated. They share a long border and a historical alliance. China has been a key economic lifeline and security guarantor for North Korea. In the event of a conflict, China is expected to come to North Korea's aid under the 1961 Alliance Treaty. Yet North Korea seeks to diversify its alliances and reduce its dependence on China. This is a strategic move to have alternatives and not to be overly reliant on one ally. By fostering closer ties with Russia, North Korea can create a more balanced geopolitical position. North Korea has actively worked to strengthen its relationship with Russia, partly driven by Russia's isolation and desperation stemming from its invasion of Ukraine. The need for allies in the face of Western sanctions influenced Russia's desire to engage with North Korea. By playing off Russia against China, North Korea can potentially secure better deals from both nations. Access to advanced military technologies is one of the potential benefits North Korea could obtain for Russia, which China might be hesitant to provide. The geopolitical dynamics between North Korea, China, and Russia, they're complex and ever-evolving. Unlike in the past, China and Russia are now cooperating more closely rather than being in opposition to one another. They are united in countering the influence of the United States and its allies. China, as the economic and military powerhouse in the relationship, holds the upper hand. North Korea can procure advanced military technologies from Russia, but it must carefully assess China's possible reaction before taking any radical steps such as testing a nuclear device. The revived United States, South Korea, Japan trilateral alliance strengthens the China-North Korea-Russia security bloc. The development underscores the delicate geopolitical balance in the region. The future of North Korea remains uncertain, hinging on both internal economic factors and international geopolitics. Denuclearization remains an option, one that could reshape North Korea's economic landscape and international position. The country's complex relationships with China and Russia offer strategic advantages and challenges, but the evolving dynamics between these powers will play a critical role in shaping North Korea's future. Until now, it seems like North Korea's collapse will not close for a long time. However, recent reports suggest otherwise. Since the fall of communism in Eastern Europe, the possibility of North Korea's collapse has been a recurring question in different aspects. Before going into the recent issue, let's take a step back and look into the past. The question of collapse became particularly urgent in the 90s, during a devastating famine, and resurfaced when Kim Jong-un assumed power in 2011. The recent reports of renewed famine in North Korea have reignited this concern. The 1990s famine in North Korea was one of the worst post-World War II famines, with an estimated 500,000 to 2 million lives lost. While there have been numerous reports of famine since then, they're often a mixed exaggeration and fabrication due to limited information access and defectors' motivations. However, in 2023, supporting evidence emerged, including statements from South Korean officials about starvation deaths in the north and data from North Korean monitoring websites showing high food prices. A BBC report in June conducted interviews with North Korean citizens, revealing stories of suffering and starvation. A UN report estimated that North Korea barely has enough food for 3/4 of its population. One concerning aspect is the potential impact on North Korea's middle class and elite. Kim Jong-un has maintained power by protecting these groups from deprivation, but if they start to suffer, it could threaten the regime's stability. North Korea's current crisis is not solely the result of decades of mismanagement. Recent choices made by the regime, including strict COVID-19 border controls since 2020, contributed to the dire food situation. These border closures disrupted food imports, making the food crisis even worse. Moreover, these measures are seen as a means to tighten the regime's control, restrict information from the outside world, and prevent any potential challenge to Kim's rule. This approach, however, disastrous for the nation, serves the regime's interest. Even as North Korea's situation worsens, it's crucial to understand that the regime's priority is self-preservation, not the well-being of its people. The regime's willingness to sacrifice the population's well-being for its survival is an unsettling reality. In the event of a North Korean collapse, there are 3 possible scenarios outlined by Richard C. Bush. Type 1 involves a coup with minimal disruption to the system. Type 2 leads to a factional conflict within the military. And Type 3 results in the nation's disintegration. Each scenario presents its challenges, with Type 3 being the most catastrophic. The collapse of North Korea would trigger a worldwide crisis due to its possessions of weapons of mass destruction. The greatest concern is that these WMDs, including nuclear, chemical, and biological weapons, could fall into the wrong hands or be used during international conflicts. Furthermore, the involvement of the external powers, particularly China, would complicate the situation. China, North Korea's historical ally, would likely intervene to secure its interests. This could lead to tensions and geopolitical conflicts between the United States and South Korea, which may seek reunification. Now, it's hard to say for sure that the state will collapse entirely, but from what is reported, the insides have started to crumble. It's just the beginning. And that's all for the video. If you liked it, please subscribe and click the notification bell for more. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.